All right. Well, welcome everyone. I hope that our technology is working today. I am a little bit new at doing a webinar via Zoom. My name is Kathryn Ford. I'm the founder of Excellence Institute, and usually I just do wide open Zooms where I can actually see all of you as well. So I've got the chat going on the side. I'll be answering questions at the end of my presentation today. I'm super excited to be here with all of you. This is, I believe, my third or fourth visit to spend time with all of you, and typically we were able to enjoy lunch together and just have a beautiful time, and we are going to have a wonderful time today as well. So I'm so thrilled, as I said, to be a part of this and to be with all of you today on this Friday, this beautiful Friday in Los Angeles. So again, my name is Kathryn Ford. I'm the founder of Excellence Institute, and we are a beautiful community of women, and we are all wanting to live our best life. We've faced a lot of challenges, and we know that given the right tools, practices, and principles, we can actually thrive no matter what we're currently going through or what we may have gone through in our past. So, and I also want to say, hey, a shout out to my very good friend, Barbara Summers. I met Barbara the first time that I spoke here, and she's just a dear friend of mine, and I hope that she was able to join us today, and I hope you're out there, Barbara. Sending my love for sure. So let's just jump right in. I'll kind of tell you a little bit about my story and why I'm so passionate about my work in the world. So today we're going to focus on making small changes in our life that actually result in massive, great abundance that can come to us in the areas of health, wealth, and love. So small changes and big results. Whoop. Jumped ahead there. Let me back up here. I do have an Amazon #1 best-selling book out there. It's called Be Well, a 7-Step System for Radical Healing. Dr. Bernie Siegel wrote the foreword, so I'm honored that he wrote the foreword to my book. He is a leading authority in the world on the mind-body connection. And I knew when I stumbled across his work in the mid-90s that I had struck gold. Based on what was going on in my life, I just knew that everything that he stood for and his findings and his teachings were exactly what I needed. And then, interestingly enough, over 20 years later, when I wrote my book, the universe connected us, and he heard about my story and how he played a vital role in my wellness. And after a very, very serious diagnosis, which I'll give you my story in just a little bit, but he found out about all that I was doing and how he played that role, and he ended up writing the foreword to my book. So that was actually a dream of mine, so I was very happy about that. And right now, like I said, I teach this 7-step system for radical healing because I believe that our health definitely depends on the quality of our relationships and also our time and money freedom. So we're complex spiritual beings having this human experience, and everything in our life factors into our health, and our health does factor into everything else. So this is just a little bit about me. I spent my first 50 years on the planet living in Minnesota, and 7 years ago decided, gosh, my son is in college. What would I love? And I thought, I want to move. I'm going to move to the beach in Santa Monica. So that is where I live now. That is where Excellence Institute is as well. And these are just a few pictures. There's my son, Andrew. And this picture on the bottom is next to a statue of Henry David Thoreau. I was in Concord, Massachusetts, studying about just the amazing thoughts and principles and practices that he uncovered when he did his experiment of spending 2 years, 2 months, and 2 days out in the woods. And he noticed how we have these incredible patterns that we start to build very quickly that actually can eventually start to keep us stuck. And I was just drawn to him and his work and everything that he found out. And so that's sort of part of my work in the power of our mind and how we really have far more power create the life that we would love than we think we do. All right, so let me start here by sharing my story with you, and you will understand just why I'm so passionate about helping other people live the life of their dreams. So my story started 31 years ago when I was 26 years old. I professionally was thriving. I loved my life. I was living a magnificent professional life. I was a human resources executive for a large corporation in our country, doing very, very, very well. Personally, however, I was very impoverished. I was a couple of years into a highly toxic marriage. And so one day I was driving home from work and had this really bad headache. Didn't think much of it, took a couple aspirin, went to bed, and would end up going blind in my left eye. So you can imagine I was in shock. I could not believe what was happening to me. And I'm, of course, living in Minnesota. So I quickly made an appointment, went down to Mayo Clinic, where they did all kinds of tests and diagnosed me with multiple sclerosis. I could not believe what I was hearing. Here I am, 26 years old. I have all these hopes and dreams for myself, and they're telling me that I have MS. I really was in shock. And the nurses were coming in after they told me what they had found, and they were, sharing from a place of love all of the really scary things that were going to happen to me. You may go blind in your other eye, you may, be in a wheelchair, one thing after another. And they left the room, and I said to myself, no, I am not signing up for that. I am going to be a medical miracle. I don't know how, but that is what I'm going to do. And I'm very, very grateful at the age of 26 that I had the presence of mind to do that. So I started researching all over the world. What were people doing who were facing real big challenges, yet they were able to thrive and do really well? So I started practicing different things on myself that I was finding, everything from supplements to meditation, you name it. And then in the mid-90s, I ran across Dr. Bernie Siegel. And I knew that I had struck gold with all of his information on this mind-body connection and how our thoughts generate feelings. And it was just extraordinary. And I began taking what he had in his work and built on it even further. Well, fast forward 22 years later, from that initial diagnosis, when I was 26 years old, I was told I had been misdiagnosed. Now, you can imagine I was again in shock. I thought, how can this be basically my whole adult life? I was told and thought I had MS. And they said, well, we're really sorry to tell you this too, because it's actually far worse than MS. It's called neuromyelitis optica, or NMO, and it's just much, much worse. It's very rare and much, much, much worse. So I took a deep breath and started researching, because I'm a researcher by nature. And now I find out 22 years later, there's an expert in the world practicing at Mayo Clinic, an expert in the world on this really rare condition, neuromyelitis optica, or NMO. So I immediately made an appointment with him, went down to see him. He walked in the room, turned around, started walking out, stood in the doorway, looked back at me and said, "Are you Kathryn Ford?" And I said, "Yes. That's me." And he said, "Wow, you don't even look like someone who's had MS for 22 years, let alone this worst condition. I want to know everything you're doing besides the medication you're on." And I looked at him and I literally said, "You know what? I can't even believe what you're telling me, but I have been on this journey of healing and doing everything that I could to step into my best life." So I started sharing with him everything that I was practicing on myself and all of that. And he looked at me and he said, "Wow, you have got to get this out into the world." And I said, "Well, I haven't really thought about that. I've just been trying to save myself." And he said, "No, this is amazing. Look at you. Obviously, you're getting great results from what you're doing. And we had this great, amazing discussion on the fact that everyone in the world has some sort of dis-ease, right? Some sort of dis-ease. Mine just happened to have already cellularized in my body. So I had a diagnosis. Others, it has to do with their relationships. Maybe they need to uncouple. Maybe and get out of a relationship that isn't life-giving to them. Maybe they are finally ready to find the love of their life. Maybe it has to do with their time and money freedom. That is a big one in our country, especially now too, with the healing that's going on really all over the world. But we have this imbalance, right? Either we just don't have the financial freedom to really live the way we would love to live, or we have the financial freedom, but we don't have the time. So one of those, or more of those, all those factors really do affect our health. So we had this amazing discussion, and he said, oh, this is incredible. You will not only be able to help people with a diagnosis already, but really everyone, as everyone has some sort of dis-ease. So I was getting ready to leave, and he said, you know, there's one more thing I have to share with you. And now, honestly, I could tell this wasn't going to be good news either. He said, well, he asked me first, when is your next injection? And I said, well, it's tonight. And at that point of the 22 years, 16 and a half of those years of the MS diagnosis, I had been on a chemotherapy drug for MS. And he told me that drug I needed to stop immediately because it was actually harmful to someone with my true actual diagnosis. Literally, I felt like he energetically punched me in the stomach. I could not believe it. I really couldn't believe it. I had so much emotion just coursing through my entire body. I was so upset. I was angry. I was resentful. I thought, how can this be happening to me? That drug was so difficult to stay on, but I stayed on it because I thought and believed it was helping me. And then all of a sudden it hit me. I opened up my eyes and I said, you know what, doctor? I have a very powerful mind. I've been developing that power for the last 22 years. And I believed that those injections were helping me, not hurting me. So basically, I know they didn't hurt me. Wow. He looked at me and he was like, you have found your power and we're sticking with that. And I said, yes, we are, because if I hold on to all of this upset within me right now, I will be back tomorrow with a major physical exacerbation, a major problem with the NMO. And he said, yeah, we talked about our inner pharmacy and how if we're happy and joyful and at peace and really feeling good about our emotional well-being, our inner pharmacy is kicking out beautiful chemicals just naturally, because thoughts generate feelings, and that generates beautiful chemicals within our inner world. On the other hand, if I'm stressed, if I'm in fear, if I've got a lot of anxiety, over time, it's just our inner world, our inner pharmacy, as I like to call it, is kicking out far too many other types of chemicals, like too much cortisol and all of that, which is very, very hard on our body. So he said to me, wow, this just really proves you have got to get what you're doing out into the world. So I said I would definitely consider it, and I did. In 2012, I founded Excellence Institute, and now exclusively I am helping women really thrive no matter what they've been through. And it brings me so much joy to be able to do that because of my own story and in my life, what I've been through, and to be able to have the life that I have today, which is just looks so much different than when I was really struggling. So that was amazing. And I founded Excellence Institute. Now you may be asking yourself right now though, whatever happened to that toxic relationship that she was in? Well, I finally got the courage to uncouple and ask for the divorce. And unfortunately, the perfect storm happened. So we were in the process of getting the divorce. We were about a month away from a judge in Minnesota rubber stamping it when my then husband called me one morning from work. We were still living in the same home, and he told me that he had lost his job. They let him go from his job. And so he also was a man who unfortunately had some untreated mental health challenges he refused to get help for. So here we have a man who has these untreated mental health challenges. His wife is leaving him, and he just lost his job. So he came home. It was as though his whole life was crumbling. He came home, we got into an argument. He went down into the basement and he came up with a gun. So I am so happy and grateful to be here today, to be even sharing this with all of you for two reasons I shouldn't be here. One, for my health, especially being on that medication that for 16 and a half years was supposed to make me so much worse, the NMO, and NMO can be terminal. So I shouldn't be here for that reason, as well as surviving an incident as horrific as that. So you can see why now I am so passionate about helping each and every woman find her power. I truly am. And I am a great example of, if I can go through these different challenges in my life and really come out on the other side thriving and learning how to live my best life, it makes just just makes everything look different in the whole world. And I also want to take a minute here to mention that for those of you who are interested, I wanted to just put a shout out to a new movement that's out there. It was founded by Michelle Patterson, and Michelle, it's called The Real Share. Michelle was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer over a year ago and given 90 days to live. She is an amazing woman in the world. She took over the California Women's Conference from Maria Shriver several years ago, and she does big things. Michelle doesn't do anything unless it's big. And so she had a lot of experience with that and all kinds of other projects. Well, she received this diagnosis and just thought, you know what? I am going to begin a movement. And she put together what she calls the Real Share. And I will definitely get Larissa the information for this as well. And so she can give this to you if you're interested in just following her and getting involved in the Real Share, or receiving information from the Real Share. It's just a fabulous organization. She contacted me and said, I'm building my wellness team family. I have doctors, et cetera, and all the people on my different holistic practices and practitioners, and I want you, Kathryn, on my wellness team family as well. So of course I was honored. We are so thrilled to be able to say it's over a year later. She is thriving. She is doing so well, and the Real Share is growing. She just celebrated her 50th birthday on May 2nd. We had a huge birthday party for her called Love Fest 2020. It was live streamed all over the world, and it really is an extraordinary movement. She is bringing in all kinds of resources where an individual can learn and then just find out about what's available, because it can be different for all of us. And what I want to just really share about Michelle is, in working with her this last year, and in really launching this Real Share with her, and just finding out about, being a part of her journey, and then finding out from her side of things what her experience has been. And she said, you know what, Kathryn, what you really taught me was the power of joy. Of course, because then our inner pharmacy is producing beautiful, sparkling chemicals when we're feeling joy, or we're laughing, or we're happy, or even just at peace, right? And so every cell in our body is being bathed in that. And it's so, so important, especially when we have a diagnosis, or if we're a caregiver and we're feeling a lot of stress. And there's a lot of stress financial stress out there right now, a lot of stress from all kinds of places. So it's so important to be able to have joy in each and every day. And she said to me, she said, Kathryn, this past year, honestly, has been the best year of my life. Wow. Now that is amazing. And we talked about it, and I said to her, Michelle, it's because Michelle Patterson fell in love with Michelle Patterson, and she agreed. So that is what I help. That is what I help with. That is what I support with, that we must all fall in love with ourselves. Self-love is the most important thing. And self-care, self-love is the largest component of self-care. And so I help women get in touch with, what does self-love mean to you? I just had a client this morning, and she's like, I don't know that I ever really thought about myself to this degree. And what does self-love mean to her, right? It's really powerful. So with that, I just want to say, we all can go confidently in the direction of our dreams and live the life we've imagined. And that is a quote from Henry David Thoreau, and Michelle Patterson is an amazing example of that. Amazing. And she has so many people all over the world, including Barbara Summers, who is holding for her and sending her love and light, holding for her to just, continue on and have beautiful, vibrant health. And so it's so amazing, the power of our energy too, when we are able to hold that for other people. All right. And what we do is we lift the ceiling on what's possible for you, right? I mean, here she was told 90 days, and almost a year later than that, over a year, excuse me, she is doing really well, thriving, and now helping everyone on the planet when we receive a diagnosis, and even in just maintaining health for those who are healthy. What's next for you? What would you like to step into to further your health? And we're also learning how to tap into the power that we each have, so that you can take a quantum leap in your life, right? So not only was she really wanting to focus on herself, but one of the best things we can do as well when we feel up to it after a diagnosis is to help others. And so this is where she wanted to really feel passionate about getting out her message, that there's so many ways that we can help ourselves, and all kinds of different things that we can combine. And it's different for every person. So she's just providing knowledge, information, and options. And there really is a set of secrets to transforming your current life into a life of full spectrum wealth. And when I say the words full spectrum wealth, I'm referring to having an abundance of health, wealth, and love in our lives. And this is a member of Excellence Institute, Sherry, and she, in this testimonial here, just wanted to share her wins and just what navigating and using the tools that she's learned has really done to help her and her inner world be at peace, even when things get hard to handle. And one of the things that the women I work with love, and we really have, we have all ages, all the way up to my most senior member ever was and is a lovely lady, and she is 93. She came to me when she was 91 and said, you know what, I heard about you, and I want to know what's next for me, because what I do is help women create the next most amazing chapter in their life. And I told her, I said, wow, you are going to be here until 115 with that passion in wanting to live your best life. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter our age. It doesn't matter any type of circumstance we've been in. We all can step into creating the next best chapter of our life. And I call it a fountain of youth, because our inner pharmacy, again, when it's activating beautiful sparkling chemicals, bathing every cell in our body in those chemicals, it actually does help us maintain youthfulness as well. I can't tell you the number of women who have come back to me to say that their friends are wondering what they've done. In fact, some women, one woman's husband a couple months ago wondered if she snuck away and had, before this happened, it must have been like right around, right after the holidays, if she had had some work done. I mean, it's just extraordinary when we're feeling really good about what's happening in our lives. All right, well, I am going to play a short little video here that just explains a little bit behind the science of epigenetics and how our factors of our world and surroundings and inner world can affect our genes. And so here we go. We'll talk about this a little bit after too. It's just a very short little video.
Inside a human cell is the nucleus. Inside the nucleus are 23 pairs of chromosomes. These are long threads of DNA carrying the genetic information. Right at the ends of the chromosomes are special stretches of DNA called telomeres. They are known to play a crucial role protecting the ends of DNA.
So we kind of think of this like the tip at the end of the shoelace, because if you don't have that tip, then the end of your shoelace frays away very quickly. You know, your shoelace won't work properly if it doesn't have a tip. And it's like the end of a chromosome, the end of a DNA. If it doesn't have an intact tip on it, the telomere, it too will fray away.
When a cell is replicating, it can't copy its DNA all the way to the end, and so telomeres shorten with each replication. If telomeres get critically short, the cell can malfunction and die.
If you don't have caps on the end of a chromosome, then the ends become very sticky. It's almost like the shoelace ends become tied together, and this messes up the genetic material. This can have disastrous consequences for cells, a little bit like if your ends of your shoelaces are tied together, you're going to trip up and fall.
Liz studied tiny single-celled creatures found in ponds called tetrahymena. They have enormous numbers of small chromosomes. She carefully determined the structure and makeup of their telomeres. Then she noticed something odd.
Something puzzling was happening at the ends of the DNA, the very short chromosomes in tetrahymena, and that was that DNA was getting added on to the ends of these chromosomes, and this was not anything that anybody expected DNA to do.
Something was adding new DNA to the ends of the chromosomes. The telomeres were not wearing down, and so the cells could replicate endlessly. They were, in effect, immortal.
We started to think there must be some new process that nobody had ever heard of before. It wasn't in the textbooks, and it wasn't anything that people had described before for DNA, and yet it had to be something to explain what it was we kept on seeing. And so I wanted to hunt this down.
Okay, so let's just click out of that. So the field of epigenetics, which is what she was speaking about, proves your environment, which includes your thoughts and beliefs, is far more powerful at affecting how genes are expressed than the genes themselves. And all kinds of studies have been done on twins who were raised in different environments and how they have different outcomes with their physical well-being. And so I always like to say that I believe our inner world environment is actually more important, this is my belief, than our external world. Because if I'm in a smoky room, I can choose to leave. If I'm not eating clean, good quality organic foods, I can make the choice to switch to those. If I'm drinking water that I don't feel is pure, I can change that, right? But I can never run away from myself, from my inner world. So the good news is, though, we can learn to shift into a beautiful, sparkling inner world. So that's what we do at Excellence Institute when we're creating that next best chapter in our lives. So what are the current circumstances of your life? Just think about that for a moment. What are the current circumstances of your life? And while you're thinking about that, this is Elisa. She is also a member of Excellence Institute. I work with women all over the country. Elisa lives in the Midwest. Sherry, prior to that, lives here the other person lives in Los Angeles. And it's a great community of women. We use technology such as Zoom and just simple conference calls to connect us all together, and great friendships are made. All kinds of wonderful things happen. So she had realized that she was allowing some inner upset based on some relationships that she had. And so we were able to clear that up, which starts, of course, with learning effective tools on loving yourself. And it has changed her entire life. So I want to go back to those circumstances in your life. And I want you to ask yourself right now, what is your dis-ease? What is your dis-ease? If you could change one thing in your life that would completely transform your life in the next year, what would that be? What would that be? Does it have to do with the relationships like Elisa's did? Does it have to do with financial freedom? Does it have to do with time? Maybe having really life-giving, amazing friends around you to do things with. A community of friends, so important. And right now during these times, we have just so much going on. And I like to remind people that we hear the term social distancing. I think we should become a little bit more specific. It is physical distancing, but we definitely need social connection. So that's my belief with the physical distancing, absolutely. But the social connection is imperative, absolutely imperative. And studies show that having the right people surrounding you, having that physical connection, even if it's, using technology, thank goodness for technology, right? That we can still see one another. I'm so grateful that I can see, via FaceTime on my phone or Zoom or whatever with my son. He lives in Minnesota. So don't know what I would do if I wasn't able to connect with him like that, especially over these last, couple of months. So what is your dis-ease though? Maybe it is a diagnosis. Whatever it might be, if you could change it in the next year, what would that be? And again, it has to do with one of the three key categories of your life: your wealth, your health, your love. And love being the relationship category. And a lot of times people actually have two, sometimes all three of these categories affected. You remember when I was 26 years old, I literally had all three of these categories that were affected. My health with the diagnosis, my love with the very emotionally abusive relationship that I was in, and the wealth part of it, because I had then received this diagnosis and just trying to, navigate treatments and is there a treatment, and then do I do something experimental? And I mean, there was just so many different things that were also affecting my wealth. And even though I was thriving in my professional life, I was still rather young and getting started. So I didn't have this, accumulation of wealth at any time. So I had all three categories that, if I could change them, would make a big difference in my life and lessen, sort of soften things, so I didn't have the level of stress. So what is that for you? And then I would ask you, are you ready to take a quantum leap? And I hope that everybody, if we were live, I'd just ask for some yeses, but I hope that you all say yes to this. Yes, because you are so worth it. You definitely are. And it's a lot of fun too when we begin practicing this new way of living. And so the first thing that we do, there are 6 waves in Oceans of Wellness. My 7-step system is we create a personal passion prescription for each and every one of us. And this is one of the things that Michelle absolutely loved. In fact, she is putting out her own, she's calling it the playbook, the Patterson playbook. And she has asked me to write the first chapter and include how to do the personal passion prescription, because it changed her life, to be able to really ask herself, gee, what would I love in the categories of my health and well-being? What would I love in the categories of my relationship and my time and money freedom? So this is a real big one. It's actually like a roadmap, and I'll talk about that in a second. But this is a quote from me. We are truly blessed with having the power to create all that we desire, which is so exciting. So it's about becoming the architect of your own life. Thoughts generate feelings, which lead to actions, which ultimately produce the results in our life, right? And so we are going to be thinking anyway. So why not learn how to think in an expansive way is basically what I teach people how to do, is just learn how to think in such a way that you know when to push the pause button, you know when you're going into fear, lack, pain, struggle, and you go, oh my gosh, this is not what I want to be thinking right now. This is not what I want to be creating. Press the pause button and shift over to what's in your personal passion prescription, which is what you would love. So your personal passion prescription is the foundation. It begins with dreaming of what you would love in those three key categories of your life, starting with the one that you feel is your major initiative. That one that I asked you, what would make the biggest difference in your life if you could change it in the next year? So it's about visualizing. Visualize that you already have what you would love, right? Now there's a skill to this. There's a skill to visualizing, coming from being the person who already has whatever it is that you would love, whether that be having vibrant health, rich relationships, or beautiful time and money freedom. But being able to visualize what that is and then feel that already in your body. So Napoleon Hill said, first comes thought, then organization of that thought into ideas and plans, then transformation of those plans into reality. The beginning, as you will observe, is in your imagination. Now, we are the only creatures on the planet with the gift of imagination. And I'm here to tell you that most people use it to terrorize themselves. Honestly, most people think, first off, oh my gosh, what is the worst thing that could happen to me in given this set of circumstances, right? And I'm asking you to shift and switch over to, how would I love this situation to turn out? What would I love to create for myself? Like Michelle did, right? She is now saying, joy. She said, Kathryn, early on when you told me that you only want me doing things that bring me joy, thinking thoughts that bring me joy, that was the litmus test. She said, you know, at first it wasn't even easy. It was kind of hard. It was like a full-time job, trying to monitor her thoughts. But the number one life mastery skill is to notice what you're noticing, because we can't do anything about it. She couldn't do anything about it when she was using her imagination to terrorize herself when she didn't notice it. But now, as soon as she was noticing, oh my gosh, I'm looking at what's the worst thing that could happen, she presses the pause button and says, no, I'm really going to learn how to live, truly live. That is the gift that this diagnosis has brought me. And then, you know, when we were just unpacking it, the whole process that we had been through over the past year and looking at what she's been through, and then for her to say, wow, I fell in love with me and it made all the difference, was just extraordinary. So first comes thought, then organization of that thought into ideas and plans, then transformation of those plans into reality. And again, the beginning, as you will observe, is in your imagination. So if there's one thing that you take from today, I want you to begin to imagine the best that could happen. You will be activating an inner pharmacy that will absolutely support your health 100% when you're doing that, as your inner pharmacy begins just immersing you in beautiful, sparkling chemicals that every cell in your body will absolutely love and adore. So that is my main message for sure. So be the person who already has what you would love in your life. That's key. Come from being the woman who. Your attitude is the combination of your thoughts, feelings, and actions. So we want to raise the set point on your results. We want to raise what you believe is possible for you. Henry Ford had the greatest quote, if you think you can or you think you can't, you absolutely are right. 100% of the time. Our subconscious mind is so powerful, so powerful. So when I was on that medication for 16 and a half years, that should have made my condition so much worse and probably caused me to not even be here anymore. It didn't hurt me because I believed that it was helping me. I believed so deeply with every cell in my body. In fact, there's a quote from Mary Kay Ash. I think she was the founder of Mary Kay Cosmetics. She says that something like aerodynamically, the bumblebee shouldn't even be able to fly, but the bumblebee doesn't know that. So it goes on flying all around, doing its thing, because it believes, it thinks it can, right? So very powerful, our subconscious. And the other thing to think of, and remember, I should say, is that we think in pictures as adults. We think in pictures, actually, anyone thinks in pictures, we all do. So if I say to you, think of your kitchen sink. Right now, you are seeing your kitchen sink in your mind's eye. You're not seeing the words kitchen sink or anything like that. You're seeing a picture of it. And you may even have some thoughts and some emotion around it, right? You may go, oh gosh, it's full of dirty dishes, or I love my new sink. I'm so happy I picked out that new sink. It looks beautiful. Or I just cleaned it and I love it, whatever it might be. But we think in pictures. Very, very important, because I want you to build as much emotion as possible into this personal passion prescription, into just simply asking yourself to start with, what would I love? Okay, what would I love? What does that look like? What does that feel like? So I wanted to give you a little example here of what my personal passion prescription, just a piece of it, a small piece of it, was like in February of 2013. I'm still living in Minnesota, and I decided and determined that I was going to move to the beach in California, and I wanted to live in Santa Monica. But I was sitting in my office in Minnesota. There happened to be a snowstorm. I remember looking out my window as I was writing this out. So here goes, and you're going to feel a lot of emotion, and I want you to see if you can see a picture of this as I read this to you in your mind's eye. Do I have enough detail in here that you're actually getting a good picture? So it says, I live near the beach, and it is magnificent to wake up and look out over the picturesque blue Pacific water with the waves rolling in, knowing I'm waking up with the world of nature outside my window. Now remember, I'm actually looking outside a window in Minnesota, but in my mind, I'm here at the beach already. The magic of where I live allows my mind and body to feel so awesome every time I think about it. My home is a sanctuary for my soul and has beautiful floor-to-ceiling windows, enameled woodwork throughout, and a spectacular view of Malibu, cradled by the mountains and the ocean. In the morning, I sit out on my balcony and wake up with the sounds of nature and watch the dolphins play in the water when they allow themselves to be seen. I love my home and the connection I feel with the oneness of the universe. The smell of the ocean air, the sounds of the birds and the waves rolling in, and the beauty surrounding me reminds me of how blessed I am to be a part of this all. Now, hopefully you could see me sitting out on my balcony and all of that, just enjoying the ocean, which this is a picture I took. This is actually right behind me, and I put it up on my Zoom screen, but just to see that I was actually in Minnesota. Well, I will tell you, and Barbara knows this because Barbara has been to my home, that when I walked in, when I was looking for a place to live, and literally have everything, the floor to ceiling windows, that balcony I was describing, overlooking the ocean, it took my breath away. It took my breath away. That's how I became so one with having this in my life. So I also help women bring things in easily, and I love Easy Breezy. Originally, it was my 4-year plan in 2013 to move to Santa Monica. And with the help of my mentor, Mary Morrissey, and her love, I was able to do it in 4 months. And I'm so grateful because I got 4 more years of living here than I would have had I just done it myself on my own 4-year plan. So this is just extraordinary. I'm giving you just a very high level today because we don't have a lot of time, and I want to take some questions too. But if this is interesting to you, you can certainly visit my website at Kathryn@excellenceinstitute.com to get more information. So Abraham Hicks says, anything you do to overcome or prevent causes a spotlight on the very thing that you're wanting to overcome and prevent. You cannot take enough action to compensate for the energy that you're flowing. So we want to be pro-health, right? And real quick, pro-peace, all of those kinds of things. The way that I learned this was specifically from this quote was many years ago. There was a demonstration against war happening in Arizona, and Mother Teresa was contacted, and they asked her to please participate, and she said, no, thank you, but if you decide to have a march for peace, let me know, I'll be there. So just to give you an example of that, I want everyone to focus on what they would love, not what it is that they don't want. And it's always our choice as to what we think and believe to be true. So choose wisely. That's where you want to notice what you're noticing with your thoughts. This is Cindy, another member, just talking about her expanded consciousness and being able to use these tools and how she's pushing through barriers because she's expanded her awareness. So remember too, thoughts generate feelings, which lead to actions, which produce results. So if I'm thinking positive, expansive thoughts, I'm going to get great feelings going on. I'm going to take certain action because of it, and I'm going to get certain results, great results. If I'm generating fear, lack, pain, struggle, it's going to cause a lot of other different kinds of chemicals to be released. And if I'm not feeling confident in something, I'm going to take a different type of action, and I'm going to get a whole different set of results. And then I am. Super powerful statement, very, very powerful. What we put behind that statement or next to it, our subconscious will make right. So one of the things that I did for me was I embodied, I am perfect health. I am perfect health. I am perfect health. And I still say that every day today. And I know that it contributed to who I am today. This, or something even better still, is how we finish up our personal passion prescription, or what we would love. We put it out there and say, there's no way as a human I can know all of the fabulous results that I can have. So at least we want to focus on what we know that we would love. And then, of course, if something even more wants to come into our awareness, that would be wonderful too. And here's just that roadmap that I was talking about earlier. This is essentially what I help women do. There are a number of different ways to get to what we would love in our life. We can, in this situation, you know, we could put it in our GPS and, you know, we could drive the 2 different routes there that would take 48 hours from Santa Monica to New York, or I can jump on a plane and be there in just about 5 hours. So we want to do it the fast way, the easy breezy way. And this is just a recap, and then I'll take questions if there are any. This is basically the 7-step system. So we begin by putting together your personal passion prescription, what you're passionate about. And you can do this for yourself too, in the areas of your health and well-being, your relationships, and your time and money freedom. What would you love? Then we layer in self-care, and the largest component of self-care is self-love. Recently, I spoke at Cedars, and it was very interesting. I had a couple of doctors come up to me after and say, thank you so much for talking about this, because we tell our patients to practice self-care and self-love, and it's so vitally important. And, you know, we're not always exactly sure what that might mean to each patient. So we had this great discussion about how it really is individual. What is self-love for me and self-care may be completely different. So I help women really figure out what that is, so that you're practicing the things that really dial up, allowing for more self-love, and that just allows for a richer experience in life, right? When we're extending that pure self-love to ourselves. And gratitude is just my go-to tool. We take a deep dive into gratitude. It literally helps us change the channel. So if I'm feeling stressed about something, if I'm feeling, oh my gosh, I get a lot of calls on this these days, and a lot of emails and texts, just a lot of pressure. Maybe there's just a lot of financial uncertainty and pressure around that. To learn how to effectively practice gratitude, the art of practicing gratitude, is so very important. It does literally switch over our inner pharmacy, and in a very short period of time, it helps us change the channel. Because if I'm watching something that I don't want to be watching, some kind of, you know, negative news, and I'd rather be watching the travel channel, there is no way that I'll ever be able to switch to the travel channel until I learn how to change the channel. And gratitude, finding truly something you're grateful for, and it's possible. Even when I've had my darkest nights of the soul, I was able to find gratitude, and it changed everything for me. So I am a firm believer in practicing gratitude each and every day. And sometimes it's actually being in gratitude. It's living from a place of gratitude. And I have a fabulous neuro-ophthalmologist at Cedars-Sinai for my own personal care, just given all of my own health challenges with my vision, of course, and everything. And he is amazing. And we had this great discussion on, he said, he felt so aligned with the work that I do. In fact, he actually will recommend patients come to see me, because he said he lives from a constant state of gratitude, no matter what is happening. And I love that. So that is our goal, is to be always coming from gratitude, and knowing that even in some of our most challenging situations, there are so many gifts that come from that. And that's a topic for a whole another day. But peace and joy, so important. Again, how we're activating that inner pharmacy. Grace is my word for forgiveness. To free ourselves truly is just a beautiful thing. And we have a whole release ceremony that we do on the beach here in Santa Monica. We have women that come in, fly in, up until just a couple of months ago, but we will start that again when we can. But we're doing them via Zoom and other things now. But to do a release ceremony, very powerful. And then self-worth. This is vitally important to allowing all the good in your life that you're interested in. So with that, I am going to just turn it over and open it up for any questions or comments that we have. And I want you to know, again, I'm going to repeat that website. We do have free Be Well Daily affirmations. So if you're not getting those, I know that many of you are already. Please just visit our website, excellenceinstitute.com. again, it's excellenceinstitute.com. And if you scroll partway down on the homepage, you'll see a video of me on the left and the sign up box on the right. And they are free. They're my gift to the world. They're in about, I think, almost like 18 different countries right now. People love them. They are just a quick little affirmation that will arrive in your email inbox Monday through Friday. And I ask that that is the first email that you go to, so that you begin your day just with a beautiful, sparkling affirmation. Say it 3 or 4 times to yourself till you feel it cellularize in your body, and then go off and do your day. So, all right. Thank you all so much. I don't see any questions, but just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. And hi, Barbara. I hope you're out there too, my love. We'll wait just a little bit more if there's anything at all that comes up. We talked a little bit about today on self-love too. So I do have another little kind of just a gift that is called how to discover your personal expression of self-love. So if you're interested in that too, I can get that information to Larissa. So, all right. Well, I think we'll just wrap it up then. Oh, maybe I do have, let me see. Is there one person? I'm just not seeing this right. Oh, we do have a question. I must have. Okay. What are examples of self-care? Oh, that is such a great question, Josephine. Yes. So examples are everything from having a massage, taking a bath. I love that. It's just bringing out our divine feminine. I love to light a few candles. In fact, during the day when I'm in the office, I turn on music because it helps, just the vibration of the music I love. And I light a candle in my office. Everything from those types of things all the way down to getting inside the core of who we are and being authentic. Saying when I say, I guess, let me put it this way, saying yes when I mean yes and no when I mean no. I used to be the type of person that I would put everyone else first. And if somebody needed something, I would say, oh, sure, I can do that. Even though I should have said no, because I was completely overextending myself. And I just said yes all the time, even when I meant no. And that is an example of self-care and self-love, to come from being the woman who honors herself first. And so I began to uncover and open up and sort of shine the light of awareness on the fact that I was just saying, yes, all the time to everyone else's needs and overlooking my own. So, but it's really journaling. Some women love to journal. Going for a walk. I love it here in Southern California, where we can be out, pretty much every day. And now, yes, we need to keep our distance, but if we feel that we are able to do that, that's super healthy. And taking care of our physical body every day, moving our bodies, exercising our minds. I have just really recently been getting into essential oils. Oh my gosh, I'm going to be doing a whole deep dive feelings reset, where we're able to use essential oils to bypass the limbic part of our brain and get into our subconscious to release some things and all kinds of amazing things. But I fall asleep every night to beautiful lavender, an essential oil, which you can get all kinds of places. I find I fall asleep faster when I do that. And I basically now I do it every night. And you can just take beautiful lotions and potions and do all those kinds of things too. Carving out time every day just for reading. I'm a lifelong learner, so I love to study what I'm being called to learn next. All of those things are self-care. But thank you. That was a great question. Anyone else? Any other? Oh, let's see. One more is peace and joy as a result, or something that can be practiced. Oh, yes. Okay. You've got great questions. Thank you. So First of all, it's that notice what you're noticing, right? Because if I'm not in peace, if I'm feeling stressed, if I'm feeling like I'm feeling a lot of anxiety, oh my gosh, you know, it's, if I don't notice that, I used to be a chronic worrier. This will give you an example. I would worry and worry and worry and just could go on for like a week and not even really know what I'm worried about, but just anything and everything. It wasn't until I started noticing that when I noticed it, I could press that pause button and then shift myself into something that was expansive, something that I had a go-to that would bring me joy that I knew about. So I would recommend that you just sit with your journal or, you know, a notebook, piece of paper, and I want you to just write down a list of things that would bring you joy. And, you know, maybe what you could do in 10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, or if you had a whole half hour or an hour. And then keep that list out so that if you have, you know, just a few minutes, you can go right to the list. Because when we're not in our joy, when we're in feeling stressed or whatever it might be, it's the easiest thing at first is to have the list handy, because our mind will not want to go there. Our mind will be so consumed with the worry or whatever it might be that it's difficult to switch over. But if I can just pick up my list and go, okay, I have 30 minutes. And these are all the things on my list that bring me joy. For me, it's going for a walk. I love that. It's getting in tune with nature. It's reading. It's watching something funny. Like this evening, my husband and I are going to be watching a show, and it's going to be hilarious. And we're so excited. We're already excited about it. So you can see it's activating my inner pharmacy. You can hear it even in my energy, how excited I am. My husband's got the whole meal planned out around it. And we've just been, you know, just a lot of fun. So this is an individualized list, but have the list handy. One of the other things that I recommend you doing, and this is something that I've practiced for years, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I have a timer that goes off on my phone. And I ask myself, have I had enough joy today? Sometimes, I mean, my schedule is super busy. Barbara knows this. And I mean, sometimes I'm just like running from one thing to the next. And 3 o'clock can come around and it's like, wait a second, I haven't even had a chance to take a deep breath. And so I still have enough time in the day where I can take my list and fuse one of those things, even if it's 10 minutes or, you know, I love it when I have a whole hour, but I'll take what I can get and go right to my list and do one of those things on my list. Again, this is an individualized list, so it's about sitting down, and I would definitely write it out for yourself and just, what does joy mean to you? What brings you joy? Maybe it's calling up a friend. Maybe it's just getting on the phone, whatever it might be. But that's another great question. Yeah. All right. Anyone else? Okay, well, thank you all so much. Again, excellenceinstitute.com if you want to grab those free Be Well Daily Affirmations. And if there's anything else that I can help you with, please don't hesitate to reach out. And again, thank you so much, Larissa, for having me. I really appreciate it. I love coming here. I think, like I said, this is my 34th time, and I look forward to coming back again. Mwah. Have a great weekend, everyone.